Just letting Emily know now, and then she'll hit, yeah. So we're currently recording now.
Right, here we are then. Well, the first item on the agenda is apologies for absence. Have we got any apologies?
We have Councillor Yvonne Forster who's given apologies.
Right, if that can be noted, that'd be great.
Item
Item 2, declarations of interest. Does anybody, any members or anybody got any interest? No? I've none to put through. So, nobody have, so that's all right then. If we move on to item 4 then, which is the minutes of the previous meeting, which is pages 3 to 6. So, are the members here that sat on that on the last one? I'm not sure who was here, who was present at the last one, so. If I was, I'll propose it, but it just needs somebody to second it, doesn't it?
It looks as though you were Councillor Evans.
Yeah.
Just, you know, accounts though, because the rest.
I can't see anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I can't send it. I don't need to.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I can propose it as long as somebody can second it, but.
Well, somebody. So
Well, it could be any member. Just
you don't have to have been at the previous meeting to second it.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll second it then.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just a matter of a clarification that, you know, I was here anyway, but.
You want to hold a vote on that then?
Yeah, did you want, I was going to say, do you either want to vote or ask the members? So.
Well, I think if you just hold a vote on the approval of an acceptance of those
minutes. Are we all in approval then for those minutes? Yep, I am.
That's unanimous.
That's unanimous from there then.
Carried.
Excellent, that'll be noted. If we move on then to item 5, which is the draft accounts 2023 to 24, and that's on page 7 to 18. So who's going to be leading on that?
Well, thank you.
Oh,
thank you
for that.
Okay, so I'm presenting today for you the draft accounts report for 23-24. So what I'm looking for is for members to receive and approve the draft accounts, to approve the annual return, and I'll also need signatures if the return is approved. I'll need signatures from the head of finance and the chair of the committee. Note that a distribution of £250,000 was made this year to constituent authorities as agreed. The Mercury abatement loan was repaid. That was 265,803, which was agreed in the previous meeting. And that the note that the carry forward reserve balances is £812,825. So moving on to page 8, we have the financial summary. So at the last meeting held in January, the projected outturn was £65,000 surplus prior to the distribution. The draft outturn position shows a deficit of £100,000 compared to the budgeted surplus of £340,000. So the variance analysis shown in table 1, and there's also a detailed outturn position on page 12 of the papers. Highlights that the main reason was for reduced income levels due to the refurbishment works that we had going on at the crematorium, and increased expenditure levels, which was mainly due to the repayment of the Mercury abatement loan that was agreed. So as I said, we've got a summary analysis page showing on page 8, and also a detailed analysis showing on page 12. So for the expenditure differences then, we've got employees. So as previously reported, the crematorium has experienced many staffing changes during the financial year, and to be able to maintain service provision, we needed to engage agency support for the manager position. So this resulted in an overspend on the outturn. Recruitment has now taken place for the manager position, and the post order will start on the 11th of July, and the manager will have a further report on this. The premises, as reported in January, the main saving on premises is attributable to utilities. This was because of the the sharp increase in energy prices, we increased the budget, but the actual costs weren't reflective of the budget that we'd set. So we've now adjusted the budget going forward into the next financial year. The offsetting overspend within the premises budget area is where Newport North's expenditure had increased over the year. And we've got an analysis of that. This was to do with works and repairs at the crematorium, which included £6,000 for the removal and replacement of storm damaged fencing. So we had quite a bit of expenditure due to storm damage this year, both with regard to the fencing and also a fallen tree that we had, which was part of the overspend in supplies and services. Another part of the supplies and services overspend can be attributed to the Wesley media. This is where we are having more visual tributes ordered through the funeral directors. And then the capital financing, we agreed to repay the loan of £265,000, which would have an impact going forward on the revenue budget of a saving of £53,000, which would then partly offset the funding that we will be needing going forward for the cremator replacement works. The income position at the end of December indicated an outturn forecast of £270,000 less income than budgeted. However, there was a decrease in the cremation numbers due to the reduced services operating as a result of the refurbishment works. The outturn position shows a more favourable position of £189,000 less income than budgeted. And this was because in the last quarter of the year, we had increased cremation numbers. So you can see that on page 13 with the cremation numbers, which we've shown in quarterly totals. So quarter 1, quarter 2 and quarter 3 were down by 56, 69 and 58 cremations. And then in quarter 4, it was only 3 cremations less than the previous year. So that is everything on my report. Has anybody got any questions that they'd like to ask?
Could I just ask?
Yeah, go on.
Sorry, about the cost of the agency staff for the year for the manager, and this might have been addressed previously, so sorry if it has. Why did it take the 12 months to put someone in if the agency costs were quite high?
I think that was just due to the fact that we needed to keep service provision. There'd been quite a few changes at the crematorium, and I think that was the best option at the time. I don't know whether Joe Gossage would like to come in with any other update on that.
Yes, if I may, Chair, come in on that point. We tried unsuccessfully to recruit twice for that post. We were also awaiting the confirmation of the retirement of the previous post holder. So there was a sort of combination of two things going on there. It took several months before he finally made a decision on retiring, and also the unsuccessful attempts at recruitment that we had to go through. On the third attempt, we've managed to find somebody suitable. So that's why it's taken so long.
Thanks.
Any further questions?
Yeah, the only other question I've got is, do you think the figures will rise after these repairs now, or do you think it'll take a while for it to come back into sort of alignment?
So at the moment, we're seeing an increase in the cremation numbers, and I believe that the slots are all booked going forward. So yes, I definitely think that the numbers will be increasing. With the cremator replacement works coming forward, I'm not sure of the impact on that. Again, the service manager should be able to update on service provision during the cremator replacement works.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. That. Do we need to vote on that now to say we're happy with the draft account?
Yes, please. So if we could just have a vote to say that we're happy with the agreed draft position, and then I'll also need the signatures on the return, so I can send that to you after the session. Thank you.
That's great. Are members happy to agree on the draft account?
So just to be clear, Chair, what members are voting on is set out on page 7 of the pack.
Yeah, I agree with that. So we're happy with that. The three of us have voted unanimously for that. Before we move on, does anybody want to add anything to Joanne's report, or no? That's even better then. We move on to item 6 then, which is the facilities management. Is anybody from North there?
Yes.
Oh, there you are. I didn't see one, that one. I was looking at the one in the Civic. Sorry.
Okay, thank you, Chair. Yeah, there's been the usual minor works and compliance testing over the period. Where there is a major problem with the chapel roof. I don't know, Joe, if you're going to mention this in your report. We were tasked with finding out, or trying to repair some leaks on the chapel roof. Our contractor sent a drone up, and it appears. But if I quote the contractor, he says there's clear evidence of tile slippage, normally associated with nail fatigue, where ferrous nails corroded. There are also various broken and missing tiles across the roof. Unfortunately, we consider the roof too fragile to be able to safely access the repairs. We would anticipate that significant sections will give way sooner rather than later. And all we can therefore advise is the roof has reached the end of its serviceable life and now needs to be replaced. So, asking for clarity on that, as in, is it immediately dangerous? And the answer is, there could be tile slippage downwards, but they would land on flat roofs, so it wouldn't endanger any staff or members of the public. So, any questions so far?
So are we saying that flat roof is leaking?
And that roof is at the end of its life and it needs replacing.
And have we looked to have a cost to replace it from the the person that looked at it?
Yeah, so there's 3 options you can go for. There's a like for like, which is concrete tiles. There's Spanish slate or Welsh slate. The cheapest being the concrete tiles is about 104,000.
Right.
The Welsh slate is 130,000. The Spanish in the middle, or less than, of 106,000.
Yeah. So those tenders come in?
So that's actually quoted prices, which also includes, we'd need to get an ecology survey done because of the likelihood of bats. Off the back of that, there may be a bat survey, a bat license required if they are in situ. And if they are in situ, generally means we can only work on the roof between October and March. There's also a structural survey then, which we've been talking to the carbon reduction team. And of course, there's a plan for solar panels we put on the roof. So along with the structural surveys for that, we'll be doing the structural surveys of the flat roofs to ensure that we can get scaffold up to get the roof repaired. The things that those quotes don't include for is any rotten timbers, which we won't know till the roof's off, and any unknown asbestos other than the asbestos in the in
the cloaks and the eaves.
In the cloaks and the eaves.
The reason I asked, would that be all put into the next report for our next meeting? Because I'm looking at timescales. If we can't do it till sort of October time, would it be coming in front of the committee before then to get acknowledgement for the costings and everything else?
But it's the committee can decide now if they want to carry on with it.
I think so. Chair, I think in fairness to that point, I think there needs to be a written report before the
that's what I'm concerned of.
consider and
Come
vote
in
on.
front of the committee before the decision is
Okay.
made on what action. That's the reason I'm asking that. Yeah.
That's fine.
Chair, sorry, Chair, if I could also
Yeah.
obviously the report needs to be very clearly that Norse needs to kind of obviously give us the recommendations that work does actually need doing. And secondly, because it's the building, it's Torvine Council that would need to be approached for permission to do works on the roof. That's in line with the legal agreements that for the joint committee.
Well, I might have to declare an interest because I'm a Torvine member, so.
Yeah.
But
I think it's a procedural thing, but yeah, he's doing.
yeah, no, that's great. Sorry, yeah, it was only just to make sure they came in front of the committee.
Yeah, so that there is something else to consider as well, is that the contractor said it's going to take around 8 weeks to get the work done, in which time the chapel cannot be open. I know.
I know. And that's probably a peak time of operation. Would I be right in saying that, Joanne?
Yes, Chair, you'd be right.
Yeah. That's why I think we need to have that in front of the committee to make that decision, because
Yeah,
that is a busy period of time, isn't it? So.
Yeah, we're still gathering. Sorry, we're still gathering a bit of information on it. That's why I haven't put a full report. We've only got so far with it.
Right.
But yeah, early indications are it's going to be 8 weeks. It's going to cost north of 100,000, and there's a few we got to jump through to get it done. So
yeah, I think Joanne wants to come in and ask something as well, or some comment.
Yes, please, Chair.
Yeah.
Obviously, Carl's given you the outline of what he proposes needs to be done, but I think we need to appraise the committee of the full suite of costs linked to this work, and also how this may impact other works that we'd brought to the committee at an earlier date, which were the installation of the solar panels. So there's a little bit of work I think needs to go on behind the scenes before we bring the paper to the committee, before Norse bring that paper to the committee, and we want the committee to be aware of the full costs associated with this work.
Thanks for that, Joanne. Anyway, did you want to carry on with the report? I know there's anything else you want to add.
in lieu of the full report, not really. It's just this is coming and something seriously to be considered, because I mean, the word's quite bold in that it's at the end of its life, and significant sections will give way sooner rather than later.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. It's handy to know that before it actually comes to us, so we can have that information in a report, and then we can make a decision then on regarding the next steps. Is any other member like to make any comments or any questions regarding any of that?
I was just wondering, Chair, is it one of those things, you know, if we're doing one bit of a roof, you know, I know that it'll be more cost, but, you know, are there any other bits of roof that we should look at the same time if we're getting this big work done and shutting things down for 8 weeks?
So Councillor B.
Yeah, did you want to answer that? Yeah.
Yeah, they're all apart from the mercury abatement, which was done fairly recently. The rest of the roofs are all flat roofs, and they've all been done now. We finished the last ones a couple of months ago. So this is obviously just a big pitched tiled roof. It's the chapel roof, the biggest one of the lot, and now it's the only existing roof left.
Right.
Agreed that we could probably dual up on things like if you wanted to get the inside of the chapel painted and things like that at the same time. There's no other major works that we're aware of that could be done, unless Joan's got any sort of.
Yeah, because there was also, I mean, it wasn't what I was thinking of, but when you said that, I was thinking when we were there was that sort of outside clear roof, wasn't there? You know, whether that's worth doing at the same time. I'm just thinking if you have to close something for such a significant period of time, you know, let's just have a good think about what else we can throw in there at the same time to avoid future closures.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good point. Yeah.
is it worth me going up there again? I don't know whether any committee members want to be involved. I'm going to walk around and see what we could put proposals together for, or
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Joe, did you want to come in and raise any points on that?
Yeah, sorry about that. We're due to have the bat survey done now between June and July. So apparently they've got to visit us twice. And that is now supposedly within the next week or so, and then again then in July. I understand what you're saying about the Flower Bay roof not looking particularly nice. We have actually been looking into getting the plastic roofs on all the canopies around this crematorium and that one in the Flower Bay, get the inside and the outside of that done, and the windows actually professionally cleaned and jet washed, so that at least then we've got a bit more light coming in. Unfortunately, the prices that have come in have been a bit extortionate, and with every bit of work that's going on, we just feel that there's no end to this. There's one problem is solved and another one begins. So and obviously myself and James have inherited the problems that are here, and we're doing our best to get the crematorium back up to a standard that it deserves to be, and for our people that come to services or to visit the crematorium are actually happy to be here, rather than looking at it and saying, oh my goodness, what a state this place is in. So it's not for want of trying. There are lots of things that we would like to do, but obviously budgets, etc., are putting things on hold. So for the roofs, where you're saying about the Flower Bay, as you're saying about doing something with the main roof, I think if we had the chance to get it cleaned, it would be a lot better. And if we do have to close, yeah, and then that would all be done then, hopefully, if we did have to close, to have the roof done.
Well, thank you, Joe, for that, the update and your concerns. You know, well spotted, because when we had our visit, we were shown that as well. So that is a concern. Is there anything now left from anybody from North that wanted to say, or?
no, just like I say, I'll put an open invitation there if somebody wants to go and have a walk around and just see if there's anything to start. But no, other than that, we'll bring a full report to the next committee meeting.
That's great. Thanks for your contribution anyway.
The
The next part of the meeting is item 7, the funeral director's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
There's two items I want to bring up. Number one is, if you look at item 7 on the funeral management of last meeting, M. Ryan, funeral director, noted the requirement for the charge of £92 to take cremated remains off-site and back on again to be revised. On my own minutes taken from that meeting, costings for return of cremated remains to be reviewed at next meeting. If I could ask Mr. Chair, Joe, to answer that one.
Would you like to be able to come in on that, Joe?
I do apologise, Chair. We haven't prepared a response to Mr. Ryan's request as yet. I'll if I could get back to the committee with that in the next week or two.
Yeah. Can you keep the funeral directors involved in the process, just to?
Yes.
Yeah. That'd be great. You okay with that, or?
Yeah, we've got a meeting, the NAFD meeting tonight, so I'll put that to them tonight, Mr. Chair.
Yeah.
The second item, and it's never been discussed before, but looking at the financial situation as well, going back many years ago when Paul Dundon was superintendent, I brought it up whether we could ever have service only at the crematorium, right? If there was a burial. Right now, naturally, it used to be Gwent Crematorium only years ago. We've now got Langstone and Sahoe with in opposition, right? And it's just a suggestion. Would it be advantageous to look forward have services, because when we get a celebrant, like, they can't go into church, right? So we at Sahoe and Langstone Crematorium, at this present moment in time, we are allowed to have a service there and a burial thereafter. Is it possibility that we could look forward to that for the future?
Joe, did you want to come in and respond to that, or was it Martin?
Jill, you've had your hand up?
Yeah.
Chair, could Jill come in on that one, please?
Yeah, I did say, yeah, you could come in.
Oh, sorry, I know
Yeah.
you're breaking up sometimes, so we're not hearing everything. I do apologise.
Yeah.
We do offer a memorial service. So we've done quite a lot, to be honest. If some families decide that they want a double slot, like we had a double slot last week or the week before, due to the deceased having a flyover and things like that, so that they booked the chapel for the extra time. So yes, we do offer that. You don't have to have a cremation. The options are there. And obviously, if there's gaps in the diary, we're not going to stop someone booking a memorial service if the time is free. But to be honest with you, it's very few and far between, to be honest. But if it's asked about, we would offer it.
Stepping in there, Mr. Chair, I can see where Jill's coming from, but it's not. I'm not calling it the memorial service. I'm saying we actually have a service, like a church service, in the crematorium, and the coffin.
Absolutely, and that's what we've done. That's what we've done. We've had services like that.
Well,
you know, they've come in, they've brought the coffin in.
I'd like to finish, please. Right, that's never been put forward to the funeral directors.
The suggestion I was going to make now is if Jill, if you're there and have a meeting with Jill, she could probably explain for you to go back to your members and explain.
Yeah, no problem with that at all.
Is that a better course? And then you can take that with you back to your members.
Yeah.
You happy with that?
If I could just jump in.
Yeah,
if I can just jump in, it is something that has the memorial service itself is something that certainly, obviously I've only been here a year, but it's certainly something that has been on the price list for a number of years, and as far as I'm aware, was always an option anyway. So I don't know where or when it stopped being an option, but certainly just have a memorial service without a cremation is an option here, and as far as I'm aware has been, and certainly will be going forward as well. When we've got the time slots available. So so it is something that is available, and like I say, has been on the price list for, as far as I could see, a number of years. So it looks like it has been an option. It may not have been discussed or perhaps put out there openly, but it certainly is an option that is available for sure.
That's what I'm thinking. If you
when you see that, James, right, when you say that, James, and you know, I've never discussed this with you, and naturally I discuss things on a regular basis with you, as you know, right? But when you talk about a memorial service, and the reason why I brought this up, a memorial service having, let's say, cremated remains there, etc., are you allowing a service to take place with the coffin in place, and then the coffin taken away from the crematorium for burial?
Yes.
That's the question I'm asking, though.
Yes, we are. Yeah.
No, when I take that point, Mr. Chairman, I apologise, right? But when Paul Dundon was there, that wasn't allowed. I never realised it was an option now. So my apologies, Mr. Chairman.
I think probably the communication's been lost, and I think by speaking to Jill or Martin, they're able to, give you a bit more information, which you could take back to your members, and which will hopefully benefit them and yourselves. So
well respected, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just ask on that, Chair?
Yeah, go on.
Is it something that is that an option that the crematorium's happy to do? That it doesn't sort of preclude other things. We're happy to advertise that.
Yeah.
I mean. Sorry, as you can appreciate, it is a loss in revenue as such, as in the fact that we're not taking the full cremation fee as well. So there is that to consider. But as I say, the numbers of memorial services that we generally get inquiries about are quite low, but it certainly is, and as, like I say, as far as I'm aware, has been an option for them to be booked. Of course, we wouldn't want to fill a whole week with that because you are going to be looking at lost revenue, but it's certainly an option for those that require, as I say, a burial and want to still have the service here. It certainly is an option for them, and so it has been, and as far as I'm aware, certainly will be going forward.
And rather than having a gap in our diary, we would rather have it filled
Absolutely.
with something. And so, yes, we're calling it a memorial service, but I'm sure that we all sort of gather that it hasn't got to be a memorial service. It can be a general funeral service with a coffin, which would go onto the catafalque and then be removed at the end of the service, then to be taken away for burial wherever the funeral director wants that to go.
I think if we get together and liaise with a funeral director, I think we're able to communicate that better to all the funeral directors.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
As long as everybody's happy with that, we're all in, you know, to do the same job, and
Indeed,
it's
yeah.
about,
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
communication
One other comment I would like to make.
yeah, by all means, yeah.
I'd like to give credit to Joe, Jill and James on this. Right, it was the previous chair, Yvonne Forsey, suggestion that meeting take place with all councillors around the crematorium. Right, it took place on the 31st of May, and all immediately experts all councillors believed that the experience gained on that tour was beneficial.
Yeah.
Right, to them all, and it's a credit to the crematorium staff fully.
Yeah. And on that note, I'd like to thank them because it was a very
Thank you, Mike. We appreciate that.
Yeah, it was a very informative, you know, tour. It gave us a better look, because when we're discussing it at these lengths, we were kept in the dark because we don't always know what's actually happening at the creme. So
I think,
but
Mr. Chair,
it's a better idea, you know.
I think, Mr. Chair, it did open your eyes, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. So, any other comments from anybody, or?
We're very happy that you all enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very useful. Thank you.
Very
Thank you for
informative,
facilitating
yeah.
that.
And the last
You're very
one,
welcome.
yeah. Have you finished with your report now, or that's everything you wanted to say?
No, that's everything I want to say, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
No, that's great. We'll move on to item 8 then, which is a manager's report. Is that down to Martin and Jill, or?
I'm going to deliver that.
Oh, you
chair
volunteered,
today.
Joanne?
Yes, there we go. Okay, thanks very much, Chair. The reports in front of the committee today give the up-to-date figures on sales and also on cremation numbers. If you look in the 2024 column, you can see that our numbers are starting to come back up to the full capacity, which is around about 132 per day, per month, that we can fit in. So the as you can see, the figures are getting close to that now. We do have some spaces in the morning slots. These are these early slots from either 8:30, 9:30. They're the ones that are traditionally harder to fill. We have had some discussion. James and Jill have been in contact with most of the funeral directors around that use the facility about potentially adding a further time slot at the end of the day and sort of rejigging the diary somewhat, so we can fit in an extra cremation at the end rather than at the beginning. And this has gone down very well, actually, and we'd like to trial this. So we are going to try, and what I'll do is I'll report this back to the next committee to say whether we make this a permanent arrangement. So we'll do a trial over the next couple of months and we'll see how this works, and maybe that'll get our numbers a little bit higher and back to where we used to be. Okay, on staffing matters, we've had a retirement of Philip Long, who was one of our long-standing cremator operators, which is it's a very sad occasion. Phil's he was with us for 20 years, but we all wished him a long and happy retirement. We've got a new cremator technician starting next week, and hopefully they'll be able to fill Phil's shoes. Yeah, whatever. There we are. So yeah, I'm sure he will. I'm sure he will. The managerial services, as we talked about earlier, are still being provided by Lease Nashfold Limited, and that's via their representative James Webster. So James will be with us until the new bereavement services manager Kerry Pritchard starts. There'll be a bit of an overlap, and then James will hand over formally to Kerry. We've started a programme within the team of training the existing staff and new starters, because we want to build resilience within the team, both on the administrative side and as part of the team undertaking the cremator technician function. So some of our admin people are going to train up as cremator technicians. Some of our cremator technicians are doing the ICCM cemetery and crematorium management qualification. So we're doing a bit of a sort of overlap with people's duties and sort of knowledge and understanding. And this is to make sure we have that resilience. It was something that came out when we were in the sort of early stages of the pandemic, where we were looking at potentially people going off on sick and not having that sort of resilience within the team. So that's what we're hoping to build with those training programs. And I'll report back on any successes that we have during the next year. Yes, we've had further quotes. I think Jill mentioned about the cleansing of the Flower Bay roof. We've had works to the pergola undertaken. We're looking at some improvements within the Garden of Remembrance, and then also there's the sort of larger works to do with the roofs and that. So that's some ongoing work. So yes, general improvement works, cleansing, making the place look a little bit more a little bit tidier, and hopefully I'll get on to that in a minute. The green flag judging that took place, so hopefully we'll retain the green flag and be able to raise that above the grounds again this year. So the just reporting back to the committee on the tender, a tender is out at the moment. It's live for the new cremator, being procured through eTender Wales. The tender returns were due in 2 days ago. We'll evaluate those in about a week and a half once the procurement team have had a chance to go through the details that have been submitted. And obviously we'll report back to committee on the outcome of that tender process. Cleansing works we've covered, and we've covered the visit, so that was very enjoyable. I'm glad you all got something out of that visit. I do apologise about the confusion over the light switch in the basement. I think people were a little bit concerned that we'd let you down into the and not turn the lights on purpose, but that was that was a bit of an accident. The waiting room is now fully open. We've had a lot of positive comments about the photographs that are on display, showing the images from all 5 of the local authorities that the Gwent Crem covers. These were taken by local photographer Chris Goddard, and we've had a lot of feedback James and Jill have had in the office for that. The numbers of sanctums, we showed you on the visit, we showed the committee on the visit the sanctums within the gardens. These are very, very popular, and we are planning to install some more. So that's part of these ongoing improvements that we're doing in the grounds, and looking at memorial areas for scattering as well. So yeah, always work ongoing, and yeah, look forward to reporting back on the tender submission at the next committee meeting. Thank you.
Great,
Thank you,
for that,
Chair.
Joanne. Yeah. Any members like to ask any questions regarding that report?
Can I say something, Mr. Chairman?
Yeah, by all means.
Right, it was noted that James unfortunately will be leaving us now, and I'm always leaving at the end of August. I should have voted up my funeral director's report, so my apologies for that, but it's been stepped on now. I think he's been an absolute credit to the crematorium. He's done an absolute superb job, and it's been a pleasure and a privilege to work with him. And I do speak on behalf of all the funeral directors. Thank you, James.
Yeah, thank you for that. If you could pass that on to all the staff there, are very hard working, and they were a pleasure to meet when I was there.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's nice to also see that you're giving them future development by different training, and I think that's very sensible, and it's good for the welfare of the staff as well to realise all the implications of that what that building does. So, I mean, hats off to you for that. But yeah, that's brilliant. I haven't got any other questions, so is there anything that needs to be added on any of this now before we, because that's the last item on the agenda? Is anybody all right now? They haven't got anything else they want to add before we finish?
No, thanks, Chair.
Right. I don't know when the next meeting is. I can't see it on here, so
The next
I would
meeting
imagine-
is I think it's the 18th of September.
oh, sorry, yeah, I didn't see it.
The 18th of
On my
September.
phone was showing it, yeah.
Yeah, at 1 o'clock. It'll be both hybrid, so as kind
Yeah,
of standard
yeah.
meeting room online.
Now 12 o'clock.
1 o'clock now, right?
I was you at 12, Mr. Chairman, sorry.
Well, you'll be in the members' room with cheap biscuits. Anyway, I'll finish the meeting off, but I thank everybody for their contribution today, and I wish you a nice and relaxing afternoon then. So,
Thank you for stepping in, Councillor Evans.
sorry?